Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change.
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. History time. So it's about time I got back to that. As I said yesterday, I'm feeling a little bit better today. As I said, I think I was just coming down with a cold and beat it back. So I am feeling better than yesterday, so definitely on the upswing, but just have been super tired because, girl, the amount of work I've been doing is insane. So today I, did all the amendments I needed to propose to the Douglas County bylaws. I'm living the bylaws life. Well, let's do some of the YouTube stuff before we get started. As always, if you enjoy the type of content I do, please subscribe. Also would appreciate a like. A dislike gives me engagement too, but, give my ego a little boost, and share. You can follow me on pretty much any social media, but I'm most active on Twitter right now. Username Karen Ann Harlos. And last but certainly not least, I would appreciate your support on Patreon. Patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. Things have been tough for YouTubers, so I would truly, truly appreciate your support. And as always, if you're watching live, I do love it when you chat with me. The engagement keeps my energy level up, and of course, all super chats matter. So we are going to go right to the LP News. Give me 1 second. I'd like to show you what it looks like, though if there ends up being people in chat, I'd rather have chat on the screen, but I am starting this show later than normal. So let me pull this up. This is the issue. Hey, Bunchy, look at him. He's very pleased with himself today. Bunchy, what's up? Okay, got it. I got it. Chill thing. Okay, so this is 24A, so episode 24, which is when we first dived or dove. Which is correct? Is it dove or dived? Huh. Interesting. Anyway, whatever of those words is, and I'm not centered. See, there we go. Much better. So whatever those words is correct. We did LP hires director. We did the did I say Apple 12th? April 12th taxation protest. So what we're going to be looking at today is legal action challenges campaign regulations. Things changed a lot in the 70s. I don't think I'm close enough to my mic. Things changed. Now I'm like all on my face. Things changed a lot in the 70s with campaign regulations that really impacted the LP. So let's start to look into more of these. It seems like every year we cover in LP news, there is some of those. But let's see what. Whoa! I lost one of the lenses in my glasses. Let me see if I can fix that. Let's pop that right back in there. That's what she said. Okay. There we go. Much better. So, legal action challenges campaign regulations. Washington, D.C. In early January, the National Libertarian Party joined a group of politically active individuals, civil liberties organizations, and liberal and conservative third parties, and political action committees as a co-plaintiff in a suit, where did I lost my spot, challenging the federal election campaign laws. On January 24th, the Federal District Court for D.C. found that the plaintiffs had raised substantial, well-pleaded, I would think they'd be well-pled. There we go again. Is this a grammar show or a history show? Constitutional questions, and therefore moved the case up the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals for review of the constitutional questions in an effort to have swift and thorough judicial consideration of all the constitutional questions raised by campaign laws. This suit presents them together in one package. The laws are challenged on First, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, and Ninth Amendment grounds, and as being in violation of the separation of powers. The LP is directly affected by these laws because it intends to ask for, receive, and pass on to candidates funds above the new regulations. Also, the LP may select candidates in the future who it hopes will spend more of their own personal money than the campaign laws allow. Finally, the LP's political philosophy is in conflict with receiving a campaign subsidy from the general tax funds of the government. People argue today that we've never really had a position on the government subsidied, we get money from the government charity for candidates. They took a position here. Might want to read that lawsuit. I hope they give the name of it. I might want to look that up. And hello, good evening, JJ in chat. Many objections. The suit raises many important civil liberties objections to the campaign laws. The lawyer's brief filed in the suit argues that the First Amendment rights of free speech and freedom of association are directly undermined by restrictions on their exercise during political campaigns. Limited solicitation, acceptance, and making of financial contributions on behalf of political candidates leaves uncontrolled cocktail party conversations and the political comments of acquaintances who meet in the street. But as Senator Buckley has noted, to consider this sort of speech the only speech protected by the First Amendment truly vitiates, that's a word that's not used nearly enough, truly vitiates the concept of freedom of speech. One has to be free to hire a hall and speak one's piece without government's interference. limiting the size of contributions, the expenditure of individuals and of political committees, and the expenses connected with volunteer labor restricts the expression of political ideas. This is really timely now, talking with the Democrats trying to repeal Citizens United. On the other hand, the First Amendment rights of free speech and freedom of association. Now it's telling me to go to page 3. You know I hate this. Are supposed to. Now let's go to page 3. Let's find where it goes. Oh, supposed to restrict the federal taxing and spending power by prohibiting the use of federal tax money to support political movements and organizations. Yet the campaign laws institute federal financing of elections. This suit takes a principled stand against federally subsidized publicity for political ideas, movements, and candidates. The suit also contends that both First Amendment rights and the due process guaranteed by the Fifth Amendment are denied by the law's effective discrimination against third parties, which rely relatively more on large contributions than the major parties. The suit attacks the assignment to the Federal Election Commission of the power to disqualify candidates without adhering to the procedural rights spelled out in the Sixth Amendment. The Election Commission itself is appointed by a process which locks its membership into the two established parties. Also challenged is the requirement of reporting and disclosure of contributors. This violation of the First Amendment and of the right to privacy contained in the Fourth and Ninth Amendments is parallel, in legal terms, to the efforts of southern states to obtain the membership lists of the NAACP during the 1960s. But we all have to disclose everything now, and people do get bullied for the information that's found on the Federal Election Commission. In addition, the plaintiff's brief in the case notes that incumbents have, at taxpayer expense, office supplies, equipment, franking privileges. What is franking? Is franking a word? What's franking privileges? I need to look that up. Franking. Let's look that up. I've never heard that word. Oh, franking comprises all devices, markings, or combinations thereof, quote-unquote franks, applied to mails of any class, which qualifies them to be postally serviced. So I guess it's some kind of mailing privilege of some kind. Okay, well, now at least we know what subject matter he's dealing with. I just never heard that term before. And expense accounts, all of which aid the campaigns of incumbents, but which are left out of the accounting system used by the campaign laws, thus discriminating against challengers. Finally, the campaign laws limit the freedom of the press by exempting news stories, commentaries, and editorials from the statutory definitions of expenditure, but not from the statutory definitions of contribution, thus involving the press in a complex process of content regulation. Okay, well, now that we're getting some comments, I'm going to go back to the main screen because you know I prefer to have comments. Unfortunately, the ones you've already made don't come up, but any that you make from this point forward will. You know, Ryan, I too am disappointed that it doesn't have anything to do with sausages. You know that's, wait.
That's what she said.
Oh, okay. That was a perfect setup for that. Oh, boy. This next one needs to be a show on its own. So I am going to find some shorter pieces to do. We're going to do this one now because I'm going to do this next. The big column that's coming up next needs to be a show all of its own, and it's super long, and it says conservatives are natural allies, ? And it goes on to another page. So that needs to be a show all of its own. So for today, we are going to cover a shorter column. And we're going to go here for 1 second because I want to show you the picture on this page. Right there. Let's see what the caption on this picture says. And you can see all the state officers are listed also. Who was Colorado? John James. John James, I think, is the guy who designed the Liber sign, if I remember correctly. So let's see. This caption says, National Executive Gathers. Oh, so this was the LNC. During Thanksgiving weekend, wow, they did it during Thanksgiving weekend. That's as bad as the one LNC I was on where we met during Easter. It says, during Thanksgiving weekend, the National Executive Committee met in Washington, D.C. Pictured here, left to right, is Bill Howell. Oh, God, with that long hair for a second, I thought that was a woman. But now I can see looking at the face closer. Fran Youngstein, Bob Meyer, John Kraft, and Andrea Millen. Okay, well, let's see what this article says. Now that I showed you the picture, though, we're going to go back to here. Heading any list of very recent news coverage, given the Libertarian Party and the Libertarian movement, would have to be the widely syndicated Copley News Service piece by, we're going to have to mark this, by Benjamin Shore, yes, I have a pink pen, that appeared on January 31st. We are going to need to go to newspapers.com and see if we can get that, because you know I like to look up the stories that are mentioned. The article begins with what is considered the goal of the LP. An American society without laws that restrict, without law. I put a pause there. Not an American society without laws. An American society without laws that restrict a citizen's freedom to do what he wants as long as he doesn't hurt anyone. This, as many libertarians will immediately recognize, is a version of Herbert Spencer's law of equal liberty. And of course, as long as it's clear that every person should be free to do what he wants with what is his own. And, I love this. Man, sometimes there's some clarity in the early party that we just don't have today. So pay attention to this next line, folks. And that harm is defined by libertarians as physical intrusion or the threat thereof. Words that hurt your feels, hate speech, or whatever other kind of non-physical intrusions, microaggressions that you're imagining in your fever dreams are not harms as contemplated by libertarian philosophy. Okay. The article goes on to succinctly characterize the LP as a band of citizens fed up with what they see as the virtually total control, that sentence isn't grammatically correct, of their lives by layer upon layer of laws and regulations. Then the article summarizes the 1972 Hospice candidacy, the hire of former Reagan staffer Ned Hutchinson as new national director, the lawsuit challenging the new campaign finance laws, and the LP's effort to obtain ballot status in states across the country. I want to read this article. After this description of current and recent LP activities, the article attempts to make sense of the difference. Good luck with this. We got to read this article. The article attempts to make sense of the differences between anarchists and limited governmentalists. Good luck, my sweet summer child in the libertarian movement. Oh, man. In the process, the author makes his only major error in the article. And I'm reading ahead, this would be an error. He incorrectly implies that the anarchist position of Murray Rothbard and others would limit the provision of protection to a sort of Wild West gunslinger situation in which each person carried a gun to defend himself. Not that there's anything wrong with that. In fact, Rothbard advocates allowing protective services to be sold on the market, along with those providing such services, along with everyone else, being subject to a libertarian legal code. That is pretty standard anarchist philosophy. It's competing protective agencies. I like the way Rothbard handled here, that a libertarian legal code would evolve. It would be common law. The Copley News Service article winds up with sample policy proposals from the LP platform. It told readers of the article what the LP stance was on victimless crime, regulation of radio and TV, pornography, draft amnesty, and racial discrimination. The February 5th Wall Street Journal had a short piece on Austrians, and I'm really interested on what it would say on discrimination, because, I hope they state the actual libertarian position is that while personally that's a really gross form of collectivism, there can't be laws outlawing that. I'm curious, I gotta read this article. But I hope they made both sides clear that just because you don't want laws doesn't mean that you think it's okay. As I like to say, everything you have the right to do is not right to do. The February 5th Wall Street Journal had a short piece on Austrian school economics, which it appended to a longer piece it ran on Marxian economics. The article notes that libertarians believe that the U.S. economy is in a mess precisely because the government interferes with the market. Quoting Murray Rothbard, the article reports that libertarian economists like him believe that inflation is brought on by the artificial expansion of government-propped bank credit. When the expansion finally weakens bank to the point where unsound investment should be liquidated, the depression sets in. God, we are so autistic. I mean, it's all true. But I could just be, man, I know a bunch of libertarians need a cigarette after me reading that. They're like, oof, baby.
That's what she said.
Oh, God. The article then adds that Rothbard's policy prescription for such an ensuing depression is total non-interference by the government. The appointment of Ned Hutchinson as national director received prominent play in the San Francisco Chronicle, in the San Francisco Examiner, and on all news radio station KCBS in San Francisco. I want to circle that. I want to look up those articles as well. The Associated Press sent out roughly what appeared in the Chronicle to other news media in California. In general, the stories carefully noted that the LP favors strict respect for civil liberties, a free market economy, and a non-interventionist foreign policy. All right. As I said, I'm trying to keep these shows, quick and to the point. We got a couple months to get through this issue. We've got some articles to look up. And tomorrow is my history day, not necessarily on the show. I go down to storage. Winrich, if you're listening, I'll see you there tomorrow at 11. Hopefully I will not forget the key. Maybe you'll find another spicy drawing. Remember Winrich? I think that's supposed to be a drawing of a tower, but that's not what it looks like.
That's what she said.
Anyway, that will be it for this evening. Next weekend, so Friday through Sunday evening, I will be in New Hampshire. I am their convention parliamentarian, so you will not see me Friday or Saturday unless I stream from New Hampshire a little bit, which, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Like I said at the beginning of the show, girl, man, I've been busy. So right after this show, I'm going to go write some standing rules for New Hampshire's consideration, where their bylaws say such and such will be done in accordance with the convention standing rules. And I looked at the convention standing rules and it doesn't mention any of that. I'm like, yeah, interesting. So Yeah, I got to write a couple. It's only one thing. It's dealing with multi-winner elections. So I'm actually just going to copy what's in the national standing rules because it's pretty vetted and it works, rather than trying to write something completely from scratch, though I do have to conform it, to their unique situation. And Ryan, I will say hello to everyone in the Free State. I'm really looking forward to it. This will be the 4th time I've been in New Hampshire. Well, 5th time, actually. One time I visited there was just for campaigning. So this will be my 3rd convention. And then I was at PorkFest, and that was 2 years ago. And I visited New Hampshire when I was running for secretary for the first time. So I've been to New Hampshire 5 times. Every time I go there, I want to move there more and more. But Wayne's business is here. That sort of thing's not going to happen. Maybe someday in the future. All right, everyone. I hope you have an awesome night and see you later. Bye-bye.
Gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not